Elena Muller Garcia was one of more than 14,000 Cuban youngsters sent out of Cuba by their parents for a new life in the United States. That youth exodus from 1960 to 1962 was called Operation Pedro Pan, named after the fictional Peter Pan who would never grow up. The program was created by the Catholic Welfare Bureau of Miami in December 1960 at the request of parents in Cuba to provide an opportunity for them to send their children to Miami to avoid the Castro regime and the tightening grip of communism. It has been described as the largest exodus of children in the Western Hemisphere.
I left in a ferry, which is very unusual for a Pedro Pan. Almost everyone left in an airplane. What I remember, those 3 days, it was all so sudden and abrupt. I think there was some sadness when it was night in the ship, when the sun set. However, everything was also new, and there was some excitement about coming to the United States. There was excitement about coming to see my friend whom I had not seen in a year, and there was relief in being out of Cuba. I was in Dallas during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was in '62. At that time, the news made me feel that I was never going to see my parents again. And then I was writing letters to my parents. And I asked my parents if they would save the letters because I told them I wanted to write a diary, but I didn't have time. And my parents did what I asked. They saved the letters and they sent them back to me. So I have a collection of letters that I wrote my parents.
The rise of Castro and the Cuban Missile Crisis were not the only front-row seats Elena Muller Garcia would have to history. Soon after her arrival in Dallas to continue her studies at Ursuline Academy, the world would change again.
The day that President Kennedy was shot, I was at school. I think it was just before lunch or just after lunch, and there came an announcement over the PA system that President Kennedy had been shot. And I felt at that point as if I was back in Cuba with all the violence. I had left Cuba, part of it because of the violence that there was. And here I am in the United States where there is supposed to be a democracy and nothing like that happened, and it is happening. And that day, the sky in Dallas was very gray, which matched the mood of what had just happened. So I remember at one time in spring in Dallas, there was a really bad storm, and everything looked like it was going to be a big flood. And I was looking out the window, and I was thinking, what do I want to save that I own? And at that point, the only thing that I cared about was the letters that I had written or the letters that I had received. That was my most precious possession. And to this day, it's still the same.